The cafeteria was buzzing like it always did at lunch hour. Laughter, chatter, the clatter of trays. Kids squeeze into groups at their favorite tables, creating invisible borders that nobody dared to cross. At the far end, Maya sat quietly with her lunchbox. She wasn't the kind of girl who needed attention. Books, sketch pads, and headphones were her safe haven. But in high school, peace was a luxury, and not everyone respected silence. Enter Tyler, the kind of bully every school seemed to produce. Tall for his age, brimming with false confidence, and fueled by the fear he put in others. He wasn't alone either. His crew always circled like vultures, laughing at every cruel joke he cracked, no matter how unfunny. "Hey, look at Maya," Tyler sneered, his voice loud enough for half the cafeteria to hear. Sitting all by herself again. "What's the matter? Nobody wants to hang with you?" A few kids looked over, some with pity, others with amusement. That's the problem with bullies. They don't just attack the victim. They turn everyone else into silent witnesses. Maya glanced up, calm but firm. She wasn't new to this. Tyler had singled her out weeks ago, mocking her hair, her clothes, even the way she walked. Today, though, his voice carried an extra edge, like he was itching for a bigger reaction. "Leave me alone, Tyler," Maya said evenly. He smirked. "Oh, the princess speaks. What are you going to do? Tell the teacher? Cry to your mommy?" He leaned in, his shadow falling over her tray. "Oh, wait. You don't even know who your real mom is, do you?" The words cut sharper than he realized. A few kids gasped, the air thickening instantly. Tyler thought he was clever, but he had no idea what door he had just opened. Maya's eyes darkened, but she didn't rise to his bait. Instead, she closed her lunchbox and stood, her voice steady but cold. "You think you know me, Tyler, but you don't. And trust me, you don't want to find out the hard way who's in my corner." The cafeteria went silent. Tyler laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. "What? You got some imaginary superhero daddy or something?" Maya didn't answer. She simply slung her bag over her shoulder and walked out, leaving whispers trailing behind her. But here's what nobody knew. Maya wasn't bluffing. She did have someone in her corner, someone the whole world knew, someone whose name could make even the boldest bullies think twice. Her adoptive father, Vin Diesel. At home, Maya never bragged about it. To her, he wasn't the Hollywood star of Fast and Furious. He wasn't Dominic Toretto. He was just Dad, the man who helped her with math homework, who showed up at every school recital no matter how small, who told her every night, "You're stronger than you think." But Tyler had crossed a line, and though Maya had promised herself not to use her dad's fame as a shield, something in her gut told her that this time was different, because what Tyler didn't know was that his little joke at lunch had been recorded, and by the end of the day, it was already making its way around the school. And eventually, it would reach the one man Tyler should never have messed with. By the time Maya got to her next class, the whispers had already started. She could feel the stares, hear fragments of conversation. Kids replaying the video on their phones, laughing at Tyler's voice cracking in the middle of his insult, rewinding her calm, stone-faced response. But while some admired her composure, others were only interested in the drama. That's how high school worked. Tyler, on the other hand, wasn't taking it well. His boys kept hyping him up, telling him not to let Maya make him look stupid. His ego was bruised, and bruised egos and bullies were dangerous. After school, Maya walked to her bus stop, earbuds in, pretending not to notice Tyler and his crew following at a distance. She knew trouble when she felt it. "Hey, princess," Tyler shouted, his voice echoing off the brick walls. "Thought you could just walk away earlier?" "Nah, you don't get to embarrass me like that." Maya stopped walking. Slowly, she took out her earbuds, turned and met his gaze. She wasn't scared, not because Tyler wasn't a threat, but because she had learned something most kids never do. Bullies thrive on fear, and Maya refused to feed him. "You embarrass yourself," she said simply. The other boys hooted, making it worse for Tyler. He shoved her backpack hard, trying to provoke her. "You think you're special, huh? Think you're better than everyone." Maya steadied herself, eyes sharp. "I don't think I'm better, but I know I'm stronger. And one day, you're going to push the wrong person. Pray it isn't me. Tyler froze for a split second, because it was something in her tone, something unshakable, like she was holding back a truth he couldn't see. But pride made him double down. He laughed it off, turned to his friends. Hear that? She thinks she's in a movie or something. Maya brushed past him and kept walking. What Tyler didn't notice was the black SUV idling across the street. Tinted windows. Quiet engine. Inside, a man watched. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't even blinking. Vin Diesel had finished a late-night shoot and returned home early, only to hear about the viral clip from Maya's cousin. Curious and concerned, he had asked his driver to swing by the school. He didn't want to embarrass his daughter by storming in. No, Vin believed in trust. He believed in letting Maya fight her own battles. But seeing her corner like that, his blood boiled. Family was sacred to him. Always had been. Always would be. The SUV rolled away quietly, but Tyler had no idea that his world was about to change. Because Vin Diesel wasn't the kind of father to let something like this slide. And the next morning, Maya's school would get a visitor. One that nobody was prepared for. The next morning, the halls buzzed with a different kind of energy. The clip of Tyler mocking Maya had spread beyond just their school. Cousins had shared it with cousins. Friends had posted on TikTok, and it was catching fire. Everyone had an opinion. Some mocked Tyler's arrogance. Some praised Maya's composure. And a few whispered wild theories about the mysterious line she dropped. You don't want to find out who's in my corner. By second period, Tyler was furious. His crew kept showing him the comments online. Kids were clowning him in the hallways. Even teachers gave him that look, the one that said we saw it too. Meanwhile, Maya sat in her English class, eyes focused on her notebook, as if nothing had changed. But deep down, she knew things were about to get complicated. And she was right. At exactly 10:15 a.m., the front doors of Lincoln High swung open. Heads turned. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Because the man who walked in didn't need an introduction. Bald head, muscular build, calm, unshakable stride. Even without the sunglasses, even without the entourage, everyone recognized him instantly. Vin Diesel. The principal nearly tripped over himself rushing out of his office. And Mr. Diesel, this is unexpected. Vin didn't waste words. His voice was deep control, but every syllable carried weight. Where's Maya's class? Within minutes, he was standing outside her door. The teacher, stunned but compliant, stepped aside. And there she was, his daughter, sitting quietly at her desk, pretending to be invisible. When she looked up and saw him, her heart skipped. "Dad," she whispered. The room gasped. Tyler, who sat 2 rows back, nearly slid out of his chair. Vin walked in slowly, his eyes never leaving Maya's. He smiled a soft, reassuring smile meant only for her. "Just want to check in, sweetheart. You doing okay?" Maya's throat tightened, but she nodded. "Yeah, Dad." Vin turned then, not to the teacher, not to the principal hovering nervously at the door, but to the students. His gaze swept the room like a storm front, pausing just long enough on Tyler to make the boy's skin crawl. "You see this girl?" Vin said, his voice low but filling every corner of the classroom. "She's my daughter, my family. And if there's one thing I've learned in this life, it's that you never mess with family." Dead silence. Tyler's friends shrank in their seats. Tyler himself stared at the desk, wishing the ground would swallow him whole. Vin didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. He let the weight of his presence do the work. Then he looked back at Maya and said, simply, "I'll be waiting outside when you're done." And with that, he walked out. The classroom erupted in whispers. Phones buzzed as students texted the news across the school. By lunch, the whole building knew. Tyler had picked the wrong target. But here's the thing. Bullies like Tyler rarely learn the first time. And humiliation, especially in front of the entire school, can make someone dangerous. Maya sensed it. She knew Tyler wasn't finished. And though Vin Diesel had just shaken the walls of Lincoln High, the real test of Maya's strength was only beginning. By the time the lunch bell rang, Tyler's world had collapsed. The cafeteria was a circus. Every table buzzed with the same story. How Vin Diesel had walked into second period, called Maya his daughter, and practically burned Tyler to ground without even saying his name. Memes were already flying through group chats. One of them showed Tyler's terrified face with the caption, "Family don't mess with family." He could feel the stares, the snickers. His crew wasn't laughing anymore. Even they knew the rules of the jungle. When a predator bigger than you shows up, you stop pretending you're a lion. But Tyler? He wasn't ready to bow his head. His pride screamed louder than common sense. "She thinks she's untouchable just 'cause her dad's famous," he muttered, slamming his tray down at an empty table. "Nah, I'll show her she's not." His voice shook as he said it, but anger drowned out the tremor. That afternoon, as the final bell rang, Maya walked out of school with her backpack slung over one shoulder. She spotted the familiar black SUV parked at the curb. Relief washed over her. Dad had kept his word. He was waiting. But as she made her way to the car, a figure stepped in front of her. Tyler. His eyes burned, his fists clenched at his sides. "Think you're better than me. Huh? Hiding behind your daddy." Maya stopped, her pulse steady but strong. She could feel the eyes of other students gathering around. A crowd was forming, hungry for the next chapter of this unfolding drama. "I don't hide behind anyone," Maya said, her voice calm. "I stand on my own." Tyler smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. He shoved her shoulder. "Then let's see it. No cameras. No daddy. Just you and me." Before Maya could answer, a shadow loomed. The SUV door opened, and out stepped Vin Diesel. The crowd parted like water. Vin didn't rush, didn't shout. He simply walked toward them, each step heavy with authority. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes locked onto Tyler with a weight that froze the boy in place. "Son," Vin said quietly, standing inches away from Tyler, "you're making choices right now that will follow you for the rest of your life. Think very carefully about your next move." Tyler swallowed hard. For the first time, he wasn't the biggest presence in the fight. The students held their breath. Nobody dared move. Vin's voice dropped lower. "You see, I don't have to raise my fist to protect my daughter. She's already stronger than you. Stronger than you'll ever be. But if you lay a finger on her again," he leaned closer, his words sharp as steel, "then you'll learn exactly what family means." Tyler's face went pale. His bravado cracked. And for the first time since this began, he backed away. But the story wasn't over. Because bullies like Tyler, they don't disappear. They regroup. They look for weaker angles. And Maya knew this wasn't the last time he'd try. Only this time, she wasn't the same girl who kept her head down at lunch. This time, she was ready. That night, Lincoln High's hallways were still buzzing on social media. The clip of Vin Diesel standing in front of Tyler had gone viral among the students. Someone had even added dramatic music over it, turning the confrontation into a full-on movie trailer. Maya lay in bed, scrolling through her phone. Normally, she hated attention, but for once, the comments weren't directed at her. They were directed at Tyler. Words like "clown" finished, and "got cooked by Vin Diesel" arrow flooded his name. She should have felt relieved. Safe. But something gnawed at her gut. Tyler wasn't the kind of person who took humiliation and learned from it. No, he was the type to plot revenge. And she was right. Across town, Tyler sat in his room, his phone glowing in the dark. He scrolled through the memes, the jokes, the messages. Even his own cousin had texted him. "Bro, you got wrecked by Fast and Furious." His hands shook with rage. "They think this is funny," he hissed. "They think I'm scared of her because of her daddy? Nah, I'll show them who's scared." His eyes drifted to the baseball bat propped up in the corner of his room. An idea formed, reckless, dangerous, but in his twisted mind, it made sense. The next evening, Maya stayed late at school for art club. By the time she packed up, the sun had dipped, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The courtyard was nearly empty. As she walked toward the bus stop, she noticed something off. The parking lot wasn't as quiet as it should have been. She could hear footsteps, slow, deliberate. Then she saw him. Tyler stepped out from behind the bleachers, the baseball bat in his hand, catching the fading light. His face was tight, desperate, a storm of anger and shame. "You ruined me," he said, his voice shaking. "Everyone's laughing at me. My own friends don't even respect me now. And it's all because of you." Maya's heart pounded, but she didn't back away. She held her ground, her father's words echoing in her head. "You're stronger than you think. You ruined yourself, Tyler," she said evenly. "I just refuse to let you drag me down with you." Tyler's grip on the bat tightened. Not this time. But before he could take a step forward, a sound cut through the air, a car door slamming shut. Maya glanced over. The black SUV. Again. And stepping out, calm but terrifying in his timing, was Vin Diesel. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He just walked. Each step deliberate, unhurried, but radiating a force that made Tyler freeze in place. "Put the bat down," Vin said, his voice like thunder rolling low across the sky. Tyler's breath quickened. For a moment, he looked like a trapped animal, eyes darting between Maya, the bat, and Vin. But Vin didn't blink, didn't flinch. "This ends tonight. Son, you want to throw your life away over pride? Over a joke that backfired? Or do you want to walk away and prove you're better than this?" The silence was heavy. Students peeking from the windows whispered. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Tyler's chest rose and fell. His knuckles whitened on the bat. And then he dropped it. The metal clanged against the pavement, the sound sharp and final. Vin stepped closer, his voice lower now, meant only for Tyler. "Go home. Think about the man you want to be. 'Cause right now, you're heading down a road you don't come back from." Tyler's eyes darted around one last time. Then, without a word, he turned and bolted into the night. Maya exhaled, her body trembling now that the danger had passed. Vin walked to her, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. "You okay?" She nodded, though her throat felt tight. "Yeah, but he's not done, Dad. I can feel it." Vin looked out into the darkness where Tyler had vanished, his jaw clenched. "Then we'll be ready," he said. But neither of them knew just how far Tyler was willing to go. For a few days, things went quiet. Too quiet. Tyler didn't show his face much around school. He kept his head down, avoided eye contact, and barely spoke to his crew. Some thought he'd finally learned his lesson. Others thought he was just biding his time. Maya wasn't convinced. She'd seen the look in his eyes at night by the bleachers, the mixture of fear and rage. People like Tyler didn't disappear. They adapted, and she was right. The storm came the following week. One Monday morning, Maya walked into school only to find the hallways buzzing louder than usual. Whispers, glances, phone screens lighting up. Something was spreading like wildfire. Her best friend, Aisha, rushed up to her. "Maya, don't look at your phone. Just don't." But Maya already had. A video was making the rounds on social media. Grainy footage spliced together to paint her in the worst possible light. Clips of her rolling her eyes in class, standing up to Tyler in the cafeteria, edited with captions like "entitled rich girl" and "hiding behind daddy's fame." Someone had even dug up personal photos from her private account, twisting them into memes. And the account that posted it? A throwaway profile. But everyone knew whose fingerprints were all over it. Tyler's. The comments section was brutal. Strangers who didn't know her were piling on, turning her life into a spectacle. "See? She thinks she's better than everyone. Classic nepotism kid. She only acts tough cause of Vin Diesel." Maya felt her stomach drop. This wasn't just schoolyard bullying anymore. Tyler had taken the fight online, weaponizing the one thing she had always avoided: attention. By lunch, the video had been picked up by a local gossip blog. Headlines screamed across Twitter. Vin Diesel's daughter caught in high school drama. Student claims celebrity kid using fame to intimidate others. By the end of the day, paparazzi vans were circling the school. Reporters camped outside the gates, shouting questions at stunned teenagers. Maya's safe world was shattered. When the final bell rang, Vin's SUV was waiting, but this time, photographers swarmed around it, cameras flashing. Maya slid into the seat, her hands shaking. "Dad, it's everywhere. They think I'm the bully now." Vin's jaw tightened. His protective instincts flared, but he forced himself to stay calm. Listen to me, he said firmly. The world loves a story. Tyler thinks he can rewrite yours. But we're not going to let him. Maya blinked at him. What do we do? Vin leaned forward, his voice dropping to that deep, gravelly calm he used both on screen and off. We show them the truth. On our terms. Not his. Maya stared at him, realizing for the first time that this wasn't just about her anymore. Tyler had dragged their family into the spotlight. And now, the fight was bigger than the school, bigger than the hallways and cafeteria whispers. It was a battle of narratives. And Tyler had no idea who he'd picked a fight with. Because if Vin Diesel knew anything, it was how to win when the whole world was watching. The following week felt like living in a fishbowl. Reporters lined the sidewalks outside Lincoln High every morning. Camera flashes blinded kids as they walked through the gates. Teachers tried to keep control, but even they whispered about the story. The principal gave a stiff announcement over the intercom, begging everyone to respect student privacy, which only made things worse. Maya hated every second of it. She wasn't used to attention, let alone headlines and paparazzi. She just wanted her life back. But every time she opened her phone, another blog, another rumor, another comment painted her as some spoiled celebrity kid. Tyler's plan was working. In the shadows, he watched with satisfaction. His digital smear campaign had exploded beyond anything he expected. Even though some kids still mocked him, he had shifted enough of the spotlight onto Maya that he didn't look like the only villain anymore. But humiliation burns deeper than applause heals. Tyler wasn't finished. At lunch, he pulled his closest crew aside. She thinks she's safe because of her dad? Watch this. We're going to make her regret ever stepping foot in this school. He laid out his next move. Not just rumors, not just videos, evidence. Or at least something that looked like it. Fake screenshots. Messages edited to make it seem like Maya had been trash-talking classmates. Complaints forged under her name, making teachers believe she was entitled and disrespectful. It was a new level of cruelty, an attack not on her body, not even on her reputation, but on her integrity. By Thursday, whispers filled the hallways again. A teacher gave Maya a sharp-looking class, and she knew the trap was working. That evening, Maya sat at the kitchen table, her head in her hands. Vin leaned against the counter, arms folded, watching his daughter's world unravel. "Dad," she whispered, "he's winning. Everyone thinks I'm someone I'm not. And if this keeps going, even you can't stop it." Vin's expression darkened. For years, he built a career on playing men who stood unshakable against impossible odds. But this wasn't a movie. This was his daughter's life. He crouched down beside her, placing a steady hand on hers. "Maya, sometimes the world will believe lies, because lies are louder, but the truth," his voice grew firm, "the truth always outlasts noise." She looked at him, her eyes brimming. "But what if he doesn't stop?" Vin straightened, his jaw set. "Then we stop him." The next morning, Maya walked into school carrying something she hadn't before. Resolve. She'd been quiet, composed, patient. But if Tyler wanted a war of narratives, she wasn't going to just stand there and let him script her story. Because she had something Tyler didn't. She had family. And family fights back. What neither of them knew, though, was that Tyler's next move wouldn't just risk Maya's reputation. It would risk her safety. Tyler's plan had spiraled out of control. The fake screenshots, the rumors, the videos, at first, they gave him the upper hand. But deep down, he knew it wasn't enough. He needed one big move, one act that would crush Maya completely and make everyone forget about his own humiliation. And so, one Friday night, while most kids were home, Tyler snuck into Lincoln High with two of his crew. They carried spray paint, a phone camera, and one reckless idea. Vandalize the school walls with Maya's name. Slurs, insults, cruel drawings. Make it look like Maya had been exposed. "Once everyone sees this, she's finished," Tyler muttered, shaking the spray can. By the time the boys tried to slip out, flashing lights bathed the parking lot. 2 police cruisers blocked their path. Tyler's bravado crumbled. His crew scattered, but the officers were faster. By the end of the night, Tyler was in custody, his face pale, his future slipping away. The next morning, Maya woke to a buzzing phone. Aisha's text read, "Turn on the news. Now." She did, and there it was, Tyler's arrest. Mugshot, headlines blazing. Local teen arrested for vandalism in campaign against Vin Diesel's daughter. The truth had finally turned on him. When Maya walked into school that Monday, the halls were different. No laughter at her expense. No whispers behind her back. Students looked at her with something else in their eyes. Respect. She didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She just walked taller. At lunch, she sat at her usual table, and for the first time, people chose to sit with her. Not because she was Vin Diesel's daughter, but because she was Maya, the girl who stood her ground, even when the whole school seemed against her. That evening, back at home, she sat on the porch with her dad. "You proud of me?" she asked quietly. Vin smiled, his arm resting across the back of her chair. "More than proud. You didn't just survive this, Maya. You showed the world who you are. And trust me, who you are is stronger than anything they throw at you." Maya leaned against him, the weight of the past weeks finally lifting. For once, the world outside their walls was quiet. No cameras, no whispers, just family. And in that silence, she realized something. She hadn't needed Vin Diesel to fight her battles. He'd been her protector, yes, but she had found her own strength in the storm. The bully had fallen, the noise had faded, and Maya had become unbreakable.